Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively uncommon find-type Pokemon Mankey, its uncommon evolution Primeape, the two collectively known as the Pig Monkey Pokémon, and the final, exceptionally rare, fighting ghost-type evolution Annihilape, the Rage Monkey Pokémon. Irate to a fault, more than easily angered by the slightest of problems, the members of the Mankey family are hyperactive mammals that can make short work of any beast that can't withstand the might of their furious blows. Mankey have semi-spherical bodies covered in light brown hair, with darker brown tips to the long tail, three-toed feet and three-fingered hands, as well as dark brown interiors to the triangular ears. They are most noted for the large bright red eyes, small hidden mouth, and the pig-like snout that adorns the front of their face. Their evolved form, Primeape, have a very similar overall build, though with no tail, pink interiors to the ears, and pinprick black eyes to help dispel the more irritable nature. In addition, the limbs are entirely dark brown color, and the digits have partially fused on both their feet and hands, only having 2 toes per foot now with much broader arches, as well as hands that have fused into a single glove-like mass, with blank anklets and wrist gauntlets that are meant to help restrain their immense anger. The final evolution, Annihilape, are considerably different in appearance compared to Primeape, their fur having mostly changed to a light grey color with dark grey limbs, and white trails of hair that form an unkempt mane of sorts around the head and bodies as a whole. In addition, the noses retain a pink color in contrast with their pupilless neon red eyes, and the wrist gauntlets have mostly shattered, allowing them to unleash the full might of their rage against others. The members of the Mankey family are relatively simple primates that stand out from their close relatives as a result of the pig-like snouts they sport. Mankey live within relatively large colonies among forests and rarely ever leave their colonies for any reason. As such, it is difficult for some trainers to capture Mankey without having to deal with an entire colony at once. Mankey eat little to no meat and instead focus on a diet filled with fruits and nuts, rarely showing much in the way of preference. As long as they can reach it or crack it open, they will gladly eat it. The only exception to this rule is the chestnut, which Mankey absolutely love and will gladly fight each other over. Unfortunately, Mankey do not possess the dexterity needed to easily peel these prickly seeds by hand and must endure the pain of manual peeling or risk destroying the precious insides by smashing the seed open with a rock. Mankey often remain stubborn and refuse to risk damaging their precious cargo, leading to more pain and frustration than the seeds are usually worth. Primeape also possess an incredibly volatile temper that is nearly impossible to control. Unfortunately, evolution has only worsened this issue to the point of being outrageous. Primeape do not live in colonies at all because they simply can't stand being near other organisms, though the exact reason why is not wholly understood. Regardless, Primeape will become angry if they ever sense that anything is looking at them, and will promptly rampage about to flush out the onlooker from the hiding spot. If approached while asleep, Primeape will occasionally even wake up and chase down the opposing lifeform while still half asleep. Among the list of things that make Primeape angry though, eye contact is perhaps the greatest threat and provokes the greatest amount of anger. If any lifeform dares to stare at them straight in the eye, Primeape will tenaciously chase down the offender, even while wearing the weights on the wrists and ankles made from crushed and compressed chestnut husks that they use for agility training, before delivering a beating sufficient enough to cause massive damage and occasionally fatal injuries. Running away will only make them angrier, and beating them in battle, well, that will also make them angrier. In short, there is very little capable of actually calming a raging Primeape, and they will never forgive those to disturb them, even if they have been beaten down to the point of immobility. In fact, these creatures are only ever placid and calm when there are no other Pokemon, animals, or people around within their range of view, and even then that might not be enough, as some readers theorize that they may even remain angry while inside capture devices. This is duly reflected in some of the moves that they can learn, as while Mankey only able to utilize a covered attack to take items from others, Primeape can be more deliberately rude and forceful and learn the fling attack as well. It comes as no surprise then that trying to observe a caught Primeape is beyond difficult and wholly hazardous to one's health. Sadly, it just as often proves to be a hazard to Primeape themselves, for if their rage becomes too great, it can cause their blood pressure to skyrocket and produce a number of cardiovascular problems that can lead to death, the only state one will likely find a peaceful looking Primeape in. Thankfully, the blood vessels around their brain are sturdier than normal for a mammal, so they can stay relatively healthy despite their constant raging in most cases. However, this is only the case for those who do not learn how to make the most of their anger, and not by controlling it, but by letting it run wild within their minds and hearts. These creatures can eventually gain access to a unique and potentially devastating attack known as the Rage Fist attack, and this move draws power directly from the rage they have stored in their hearts as a fuel source. If they use this attack at least 20 times successfully against opponents, these apes can learn to master its use and allow the rage in their hearts to grow to such an immense degree that the physical bodies cannot handle it on their own. This in turn causes limiters on their limbs to crack and break, unleashing their full wrath and anger within their bodies and facilitating their rise to a higher plane of existence, resulting in them evolving into Annihilape. In this ascension, they become partial ghost types and gain access to the Shadow Punch attack immediately after evolution, and from now on, though they will seemingly become docile and much calmer than ever before, this only to hide the immense rage that now fuels their forms and powers. As far as the abilities go, not surprisingly, these beasts can have a hard time getting any sort of rest from their anger issues and have access to Vital Spirit as a base ability, and are equally known to potentially even be irate with those close to them, granting them access to Defiant as a hidden ability. This same anger can also make it easy to pump up these beasts in the face of adversity, with Mankey and Primeape having anger defined as part of the Anger Point ability, while Annihilape able to make better use of their calmer and literally unflinching attitude, having access to Inner Focus as a base ability instead. In terms of stats, in the case of Annihilape, while these creatures may not be the strongest of the type in many respects, they can still hit hard with the physical strikes, and have both decent agility and special resistances, plus they have plenty of stamina to work with. The base attack and speed stats being above average for a fully evolved Ghost-type Pokemon, the base special defense stat being above average for a fully evolved Fighting-type Pokemon, and the base HP stat being above average for a fully evolved Fighting and Ghost-type Pokemon. So there's much that these mammals can do when they put their anger to the test. As the rest of their family would suggest, Mankey are different from other primates because of their volatile temper, as seemingly anything can set them off. While it's relatively easy to tell when they're about to blow their tops as their bodies will start shaking and the breathing will become quite rough, this volatility makes predicting their temper tantrums nearly impossible. There are two things in particular, however, that make these rampages especially dangerous. First of all, Mankey forget about everything else but their anger once enraged, and will happily slug whatever target may be nearby, whether it is a friend, foe, or innocent bystander. Secondly, the anger is apparently contagious. If even a single member of a Mankey colony is enraged, the entire colony may become angry and rampage through the environment, leaving silence as a rare visitor to groups of Mankey. As such, trainers have to be especially careful when attempting to capture a wild Mankey, as they want to avoid a beatdown from an entire colony. It is believed by some these temper issues may be due to tremendous imbalance in regard to the amount of adrenaline they naturally produce, but tests so far have proven to be inconclusive. What is certain though is that it is not good for their general well-being, as well they eventually tire from their anger and fall asleep, they will continue to feel angry in their dreams, even to the point where it rouses them and keeps them from sleeping, only serving to infuriate them even further. Trainers will have to keep close watch over their Mankey to help them through this, as the lack of sleep can easily prove to be detrimental to their long-term health. At the very least though, it can be said that the living situation could be worse, as their habit of letting out their anger instead of holding it in is more beneficial towards the overall health than not losing their temper on a constant basis. In battle, the never-ending streak of anger that defines the daily life of Primeape can provide both serious benefits and consequences. When Primeape become angry, the rate of blood circulation within their bodies increases greatly, enhancing their muscles and making them far stronger than normal. However, this also causes the blood vessels near their brains to constrict, decreasing oxygen flow and hampering the ability to think properly. In other words, the stronger they get, the less intelligent their actions become. While this gives Primeape the advantage over Mankey, and they can fully channel that fury into devastating rage-fueled assaults that go beyond what other Pokemon are normally able to do, it also makes them extremely hard to train because they'll start relying on pure instinctual force instead of planned tactics the moment their rage begins to power them up. Trainers should be wise to take advantage of this issue when facing these creatures in battle, but should play things defensively nonetheless. Even if they start to lose their intellectual edge in battle, a fully powered assault from these apes is more than enough to knock most Pokemon out cold, even if it does take a while to build it up. As Annihilape, these species are able to make the most of their powers by restraining themselves outside of battle, and only outside of battle, as once they begin to fight others, they will show no mercy to anyone that gets in their way. Though they might not look all that much more powerful than their pre-evolved form, these creatures are able to use their rage to fuel every single move they make, and because of this, instead of using any standard martial art or other fighting style, these beasts will lash out with graceful, yet brutal strikes with their fists and feet to deal monstrous blows one right after another in a combo that can be very hard to break because of the sheer force being put into their attacks. This could normally be enough to damage the tissue and musculature of the physical body because they do not hold back in any way, but because of their heightened state, they are highly resistant to the effects of pain and can use their own rage to actually heal themselves with every blow, thus allowing them to attack with soul-shattering blows without needing to pause their attacks at any time. This can make these creatures difficult for both sides to handle, as Annihilape will only listen to those they have already bonded with or consider to be fun to spar with, and they will only enjoy fighting with those that have intense rage in their hearts and minds like they do. This can make it hard to fight these creatures one-on-one, as they do not get riled up over anything in stark contrast to their pre-evolved forms, but they make up for this calm disposition with ruthless aggression once it is time to actually attack and fight others. They might not seem like the most powerful fighters in offense alone, but with access to an ability that can help keep them from being disrupted in their attack patterns and plenty of extra stamina to work with, there's no doubt that these beasts can be a nightmare to tackle head-on, and more than capable of pouring fear into the hearts of all that go up against them.
I don't exactly find a lot of favor with people that really can't control their anger, so as you might imagine, I would like to stay as far from these little beasties as I possibly can. Mankey are irate little monkeys for certain, and while they might not be incredibly powerful in a lot of respects, they can still hit pretty hard with the physical attacks at a young age. And given how angry they can get over something as simple as peeling a chestnut, most can see how that would be a huge problem. Primeape are even worse, as seemingly anything can set them off into a rage that not even sleep can completely cure. This can make the health of the system of crisis on a constant basis, but it does its job in allowing them to ward off others of much larger stature, so I suppose there is a trade-off there? And as far as Annihilape is considered, I just want to stay far away from them, for as calm as they might appear towards others, that truly is only to save energy so they can unleash their unrestrained fury against others with no warning. Well, this can make them much easier to interact with outside of battle, and thus a major improvement compared to the pre-evolved forms. The brutality that they unleash on others in their wake is so violent and immense that their mere presence can be enough to scare the life out of others, and even potentially literally if allowed to unleash the full might of their Rage Fist attack.
Though they might not start out as the sturdiest of fighters, the members of the Mankey family are more than able to make up for this with their powerful physical strength and unbridled rage. It might take some special circumstances to give them the power needed to unleash their full potential, but it can more than be worth the hassle if you want to see the true power of rage itself on full display on the battlefield. Just do yourself a favor and make sure to stay away from them if you can tell they're about to become even angrier than normal, or you might get caught in the crossfire when the sort of rage that can beat back even the throes of death is delivered upon the bodies, minds, and souls of those that dare to agitate these monstrous beasts. Thank you all for watching this video. It is a great pleasure to share with you all the fruits of my research and all the positives it gives to understanding the wonderful creatures we call Pokemon and how their powers and behaviors function in their world. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more work like it, please give a like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel so you can get regular notifications on when new content is being uploaded. You can also find links to my DeviantArt page, Patreon, and Discord server in the description below. Please, join me on this road to seeing what the world of Pokemon has to share with us, and the many mysteries and wonders that keep us all coming back for more.